Wow, who would have thought that all of a sudden you could be knocking on the door of Gracie Mansion, which has become the Adams family domicile, and Lurch answers the door, you rang, and then Uncle Fester is there to take care of your needs. Well, that's apparently what came about when in the midst of this mishigash of all the illegal aliens being welcomed in by Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, mayor of the illegal aliens, because he gives us, the taxpayers, ugats, bupkis. We get nothing but the bills for them. And he keeps giving them more and more amenities. Yesterday at a press conference, he recognized that the pressure is on. Many parents originally in Sunset Park in Coney Island, when he tried to take those illegals, take them off a bus, put them in the gymnasiums of the public schools, said, why doesn't he put them in Gracie Mansion? Now, that was weeks ago. Subsequent to that, he has removed them from those gymnasiums, moving them around like pawns on a chessboard. Because the city, Department of Homeless Services knows if these illegal aliens stay anywhere more than 30 days, they become official residents. You cannot extricate them then. They have the resident status. Legal aid will be there to defend them, and you'll have to go to tenant and landlord court to remove them from the premises. But I just wanted to update you on that, because that's why oftentimes you see illegals being moved around from place to place to avoid hitting that 30-day period or going one day over. And then they're officially residents, even though they're illegals, asylum seekers, whatever you want to call them. Here was Eric Adams yesterday at a press conference as the bills are mounting. The taxpayers, all of them from New York City, have to pay this freight, are weary. And the mayor finally said, do as I say and as I do.
I was speaking with the staff to see if I can put a few families into Gracie Mansion. You know, I'm a big believer and leading from the front, you know, and if it doesn't go against legal protocols, because there are protocols that are in place that, you know, I can't use the building any way I want, but I don't have a problem if I could put a migrant family in Gracie Mansion because I want to lead from the front. That's the type of leader I am.
Well, he knew he can't do that. In fact, the greatest mayor that we've ever had, Rudy Giuliani, Michael Buttigieg, we discussed that yesterday before he came on the air at 3 o'clock, as he does every Monday through Friday, 3 to 4. And Rudy said, look, he knows the protocols. Within the course of a week, you have 30 cops from Intel who are assigned to protect Eric Adams and anyone else who either resides in Gracie Mansion or visits Gracie Mansion, because they're in different shifts. A total of about 30. Most of them stay in the basement, but they're on the grounds. He knows that he cannot house illegal aliens, asylum seekers, migrants, whatever you want to call them, at Gracie Mansion. And so then yesterday I got a phone call from 3 respected Hispanic ministers in the Bronx who did not support me against Eric Adams. Nope. They were friends of mine, but they determined that they were going to go with Eric Adams as opposed to me during the general election. And I asked them, because they were calling on matters of concern in the Bronx that weren't being addressed by the mayor or his staff, if this obsession that Eric Adams has of thinking that he was divinely chosen to lead us at this point by God was, in fact, the mayor's point of view in his conversations with these 3 Hispanic ministers.
I would not be the mayor of the city of New York if it wasn't that God saw something in me. I am the most imperfect, most perfectly imperfect human being. I am here not because I'm the smartest, not because I'm the brightest. I'm here because in all my heart, I believe that it's an Esther 4 and 14th moment. God made me for such a time like this.
So the 3 Hispanic ministers who actually were in the what can we call it, the company of the mayor who was with the Bill de Blasio Republican that I defeated in the Republican primary for mayor, Fernando Mateo, crushed him. And now he's become the most solid Eric Adams Republican. They were there. They were having a celebration. I think Fernando Mateo was getting some of the contracts to feed the illegals because they were demanding food, that culturally they could eat. They don't want these bagels with the schmear on it. They want con arroz, habichuelas, beans and rice, sometimes with a chuleta on top, a pork chop. Some of them have asked for manfungo or mangu. Mateo has a restaurant up in the Bronx, apparently may be negotiating a contract to be the provider. But anyway, they were all together and they were celebrating. And I said to them, does the mayor really believe that? He said, yeah. He sees himself as on a mission, almost like the black version of Moses to lead all of these Latinos and Latinas into this city, eventually where they will be able to vote in municipal elections, state elections, federal elections, particularly if they have children here, anchor babies. You'll never get them back, no matter what the asylum hearing may turn out to be 13 years from now. And that he truly believes, like all others who've been mayor, falsely, that they have an opportunity to become mayor of the city of New York. That just ain't going to happen. Didn't happen for John Lindsay. Didn't happen for Mike Kumbadachich, Rudy Giuliani. He was ahead in the polls. He crashed and burned in Florida. He was out of the race. Michael Bloomberg couldn't buy the nomination, although he tried. He thought everybody had a price, not everybody. And Elizabeth Warren eviscerated him on the stage twice, and all he got for his $1 billion was America Samoa. We saw Bill de Blasio out like Don Quixote in Iowa, battling scarecrows. And then South Carolina, he was there at the fish fries. And then in Las Vegas, he crashed and burned. And Eric Adams thinks he's going to run for president. But they've done the analytics at City Hall. They realize he could potentially win the black vote. But the vote that could put him over the top is the ever-growing Latino and Latina vote. So if he becomes considered the person, like Tammany Hall years ago was the avenue for Irish coming into the port of New York, and they helped the Irish. They gave them some petty cash. They put them in a sweltering tenement, but they provided something. For decades later, the Irish were always loyal to the Democratic Party, always loyal. And his perception is that Latinos and Latinas will always be loyal to him because in their homes in the future, in their kitchens, will be a picture of Jesus Christ, the Lady of Guadalupe, their version of the Blessed Virgin Mother Mary, Joe Biden, who made this all possible, and a man who embraced them and gave them more than veterans who are homeless or emotionally disturbed have ever gotten in this administration or previous administrations. Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, the mayor of the illegal aliens. That's his goal. And his mission has always been in God we trust, because from the day he was sworn in the state senate on his very first day in front of lobbyists, family, friends, media, and other state senators, this has been his calling card.
Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.
So let's be straight up. He also suggested that residents consider inviting illegals into their homes, and they would be paid $65 a day per illegal for their care and maintenance and for their housing. Again, the caveat being if they stay 30 or more days, they are considered permanent residents, and then try to extricate them. You better go to tenant and landlord court. It'll take you a month of Sundays. But he has that brownstone at 936 Lafayette Avenue in Bed-Stuy. It's become infamous. In fact, remember originally in the Democratic primary, Andrew Yang and his team said he was living in Fort Lee at apartment 22H. He was. But he created the impression that he was living in the basement apartment at 936 Lafayette, which actually was inhabited basement apartment by his son. So he pretended that he lived there. Everybody knew he didn't. We are on that block once a week, the Guardian Angels, because a while back we released two feral cats who live outdoors to deal with the rat mitigation. I mean, they have a serious rat problem on that block and many blocks in Bed-Stuy, which is a mixture of old African-American families who've been there for generations and brand new hipsters and millennials who are moving in. But they got a serious rat problem, as does the Eric Adams brownstone, 4 stories. And so we check up on the area once a week to check up on Batman and Robin the Feral Cats. And we've noticed that the basement apartment is now empty. It's been empty for 6 months. Nobody's lived in it. It's a livable domicile. And the top floor at 936 Lafayette is livable. The middle 2 floors are occupied by extended relatives of Eric Adams. So I am suggesting that it should be do as I say and as I do. You got 2 empty apartments in this brownstone. They're livable. Why not, Eric Adams, set the example for others that you want to house the illegals. You're willing to pay them $65 a head and just put them in the basement, although it's questionable if you can even live in a basement, but he claimed he was. We know his son was. And in the top floor apartment, which is vacant. Come on, Eric Adams. Do the right thing. Set the example. Or are you just selling wolf tickets again?